Very good morning, students. Welcome back to first year physics. So in the previous class, actually we finished about a related to the moment of inertia statement and as well as the radius of gyration. Once again I recall you moment of inertia. It is the product of mass of the body and the perpendicular distance between the axis of rotation to the center of the body is nothing but we can call moment of inertia. It is mk square. K is nothing but we can call radius of gyration, or r is called as a radius of gyration. Of course, moment of inertia after radius of gyration, k is equal to root over I by m. This is what previous class we discussed, we finished. I would like to tell you theorems on the basis of moment of inertia. There are two theorems are there. Of course, these two theorems are deleted for this year because 2020, because some syllabus are deleted. No, this topic is deleted too. Deleted topic only, no problem, because we required for the next applications. That's what we should know the statements, and as well as we should know the theorem proof also. Let us to take a one rigid body. So, rigid body of mass is m, rigid, R-I-Z-I-D, rigid body. The body of mass is capital M. In general, the rigid bodies consist of a number of particles. Each of particle of mass is m, small m1, m2, m3 like that. So that here you take a one rigid body of mass is you say capital M, and for this rigid body, center of mass or center of gravity at a center. And here it is a center point, you say G. Now we have to derive, now we have to state the statement moment of inertia about any axis of the rigid body, about any axis, not the center. You leave a center point, not to the center point. Apart from the center, you take another pointer that you say point O. About this axis, now moment of inertia. See, about this axis, now we have to say the moment of inertia because the rotation is given. No? So, if this is mentioned is nothing but now we are finding the moment of inertia about this axis. Now, let us take a center point also is there. No? Another point you draw a one more line. Now, these two are parallel to each other. For this moment of inertia you say Ig, G for center of gravity. Very simple, I will tell you. It is a one rigid body you say. And for this rigid body, moment of inertia about this axis now we are finding. One more axis you take center point. This is which are parallel. Look at. Now, these two axes are parallel. About this axis actually we are finding the moment of inertia. That is what you take a rotation symbol, and these two are now parallel to each other. That is what we can call parallel axis. Now, the two are axes, two are the parallel to each other. In between these two axes, the distance between the two axes is suppose you say some x. And about this axis moment of inertia G, Ig, G for center of gravity. Let us the total mass of the rigid body is capital M. Let you take a one particle because it is consist of a n number particles, small particles it is consist. So that you take a one particle of mass is m. See, which is located from the axis at a distance is you say r, and the point is you say p point. The mass of the particle is like we can say, and here from the center axis, that is about a center of gravity also you locate a distance that we can say Gp. Now, about this axis moment of inertia, about a O axis moment of inertia I is equal to general moment of inertia I is equal to mk square, mass into perpendicular distance, right. There is a mass of the particle is small m, the distance is you say r or otherwise op, but we are taking only small m, no. So that you say sigma m op whole square, equation 1, because sigma m is nothing but we are only taking a one particle, but the total mass of the particle is capital M. Total mass of the rigid body is capital M, but we are only saying about a small m, no. That is what you say sigma m, sum of the mass, and here distance is nothing but you say op square, that you say equation 1. And here about a center, you say center, about is G, moment of inertia, again you write a Ig is equal to, so this particle at a distance of Gp, again you take sigma m Gp whole square, equation 2 like this. Clear it is? So that there are two moment of inertia now we know. Now, we have to say that statement for the parallel axis, nothing but a what? Moment of inertia about this axis is equal to, now the statement like this, moment of inertia about this axis is equal to sum of the moment of inertias. That means we should add a two moment of inertias. One is about a center, that is the moment of inertia, and another one is the product of mass of the body, total mass of the body, and the perpendicular distance or the distance between the two axes, square of the distance between the two axes. Of course, mx square also same, no, moment of inertia. That's what it is, a sum of the moment of inertias. Here the statement is moment of inertia about axis I is equal to sum of the moment of inertia, sum, because we are adding the two moment of inertias. One moment of inertia about a center of gravity or center of mass, another one is nothing but a total mass of the body and the square of the distance between the two axes. That's what we can call sum of the moment of inertia. Moment of inertia about any axis, is equal to sum of the moment of inertia about a center and the total mass of the body and the square of the distance between the two axes. It's nothing but a parallel axis theorem. Now we have to prove it. So this we have to prove. I is equal to Ig plus mx square. Let us hear about a one axis O, moment of inertia, center of gravity, moment of inertia also we know. In this, look at here. Actually, there is no right angle triangle, so that by extending this line like this. So O, P, you say some Q is the right angle triangle now. Now we know, according to the right angle triangle, from triangle OPQ, you take OPQ triangle. Apply a Pythagoras rule, that is OP whole square is equal to, this is PQ square plus OQ whole square it is, right? But here OQ is equal to, OQ is nothing but a OG plus GQ. See, this is like a parallelogram law derivation. We know parallelogram law derivation, it is almost as same as parallelogram law only. So that here you write this OP whole square is equal to, you say PQ square, right, plus OQ is nothing but a OG plus GQ whole square it is. So OP whole square is equal to PQ square plus OG square A plus B whole square, GQ square plus 2OG GQ it is. Now let us let us rearrange, because PQ square and GQ square you write together and OG is separate you write. So these two together you write and this you take this side. Therefore OP square, for the calculation purpose only, there is no nothing rule. So OP square is equal to, let us you write a OG square is first, then after PQ whole square plus GQ whole square plus 2OG into GQ, right? Here PQ square and GP square, look at PQ square plus GP square. From triangle again you take GPQ. Yeah, tell me again right angle triangle, no, Pythagoras theorem, that is GP square plus, is equal to, it is PQ square plus GQ square. You replace this PQ square and GQ square as GP square, so that OP whole square is equal to OG square, because now you replace this. So here a GP square plus 2OG into GQ. This 1 and 2 and this you take as a 3. Simple. Now 3 you substitute in 1. Substitute now 3 in 1. Almost we are in ending. This theorem is I is equal to sigma m. This OP is OG whole square, GP whole square plus 2OG into GQ. Now you multiply this sigma m OG whole square, sigma m GP whole square plus sigma m 2OG into GQ. Look at the derivation like this. Multiply sigma m OG square, sigma m GP square, sigma m 2OG GQ. Clear? Now here look at here sigma m OG square. Sigma m OG square is nothing but a sigma m in the sense is total mass. OG in the sense is distance between the two axes is x. Here you write OG is equal to x. So here sigma m in the sense is capital M into x square plus sigma m GP square. Sigma m GP square is nothing but a IG plus it is sigma m 2 OG into GQ. Look at OG into GQ, nothing but a what? The total body, it is balanced at a center point. See, according to the center of mass, if the center of mass is or the origin shifted to center position, therefore the total body it is to be balanced at a center. That we can say algebraic sum of the moments. Sum of the moment about a center of mass is 0. So that we can say this point becomes 0 because of the center of mass statement. The total mass of the system supposed to be concentrated at a center. So that the I is equal to mx square plus Ig. This is the statement. It is the parallel axis theorem. Look at once. Here the about this axis moment of inertia I is equal to Ig plus mx square. It is a statement. Now you write for this point about this point moment of inertia for a particle of mass is m. Sigma m into OP whole square. That is sigma m into OP whole square. For about this g, that is Ig is equal to sigma m into GP square because the particle at a distance of GP from triangle OPQ. Yes, OPQ. OP whole square right angle triangle because we are extended from P to Q and G to Q. So OP square is equal to PQ square plus OQ square whole square. Like that you take OQ is equal to OG plus GQ because OQ is nothing but a OG plus GQ. Here you substitute this. After substituting a plus b whole square applied here a plus b whole square formula. Then after simplification and here these two terms here it is rearranged. For the calculation purpose only just we are rearranging the terms. So that this PQ whole square take this side and OG you take here. So GP square from the triangle GPQ, that is GP square is equal to PQ whole square plus GQ square. Now PQ square plus GQ whole square you replace with this GP. So that OG square plus GP square plus 2OG GQ. Now let us from 3 and 1. Here it is nothing but a 3 substitute in OP. Therefore I is equal to sigma m this. And multiply with this. Then therefore the theorem is to be proved like this. This is the parallel axis theorem statement as well as the proof. Of course, for this here it is not required, but this conclusion is required. That's what it is actually a deleted topic, but no problem. But we here the next for the next classes, this statement and this formula is required for the next coming classes. So it is the parallel axis theorem statement as well as like this we can take. Right now, coming to the point is after parallel axis theorem, there is another theorem is there that we can say perpendicular axis theorem. So this is the one theorem and you go for the next one, perpendicular axis. Perpendicular axis theorem it is. Now you go for the perpendicular axis theorem. Sir, what is perpendicular axis theorem? Let us. So the perpendicular axis theorem is nothing but you take a one plane lamina, one lamina. For that lamina, mass of a plane lamina you say capital M. In that one point you take, one plane lamina you say, again the lamina will be M, mass of a lamina. About a one point. So the point you say O. For this point you draw a 3 mutually perpendicular axis. It is x axis, is a y, one more which should take a z like this. But it is we cannot draw like this, no? So that you take a z is like this. Very simple again. Again we have to define the moment of inertia for individual particles because this total plane lamina mass is capital M. You take a one particle of mass is a small m which is in the plane. So that which is located from the x axis, you say it is at a distance, it is parallel to y axis and this distance is parallel to x axis and from the z we can say some r. Now about this axis moment of inertia you say Ix because it is a Iy, you say it is a Iz. So the statement for the perpendicular axis theorem will be moment of inertia about any one axis is equal to sum of the remaining two moment of inertias. Suppose I would like to tell you Iz is equal to sum of the remaining two moment of inertias. Iz is equal to sum of the moment of, or you want to say Ix is equal to Iy plus Iz, or you want to say Iy is equal to Ix plus. So these are the moment of inertia to be like this. So it is a statement for the perpendicular axis theorem, and once again you remember it is also deleted, but the final answer here it is required. So that you say for this moment of inertia about a one axis is equal to remaining sum of remaining two moment of inertia. So that here you take any one and you prove it, that's it. Now let us, about this axis I want to tell you moment of inertia. So this particle is at a distance is, you say it is parallel, no, y, and for this it is a parallel to x, no, you say x, and from z axis you say some r, because I don't know. So that here it is O, you say, and it is a particle p, and this is, you say, q. Now about about x axis moment of inertia, actually moment of inertia is nothing but a mk square, right? It is a statement. Here for x axis sigma m, because the mass only single particle we are considering, and here sigma m the distance will be y, so that you say y square, it is equation 1. And you go for the second expression about a y axis moment of inertia about a y, Iy is equal to sigma m, distance is x square, you say x square, equation 2. And about a z axis, very simple it is, actually it is before it is actually 4 marks. So here it is, unfortunately these questions are deleted. So that Iz is equal to sigma m, you say r square, it is equation 3. Now we know individual axis moment of inertias about x axis, about a y axis, about a z axis. Now let us, we have to prove the any one of the this one, out of any one you can prove it. So that here you take a triangle from triangle OPQ, look at OPQ triangle. Again apply a Pythagoras rule, that is r square is equal to, because it is a hypotenuse and it is a x only, so that it is x square plus y square according to the Pythagoras it is, right? Therefore now you multiply, or else you want to write it in detail, yes of course you can also write like this, OP square is equal to PQ square plus, you say, OQ square. It is a Pythagoras rule, OP r square, PQ you say y square, and here OQ x square it is. Now this equation, above equation, both side you multiply with sigma m. So both sides multiply with sigma m, so that sigma m r square is equal to sigma m y square plus x square, whatever it is. So sigma m r square is equal to sigma m x square plus sigma m y square it is. This is, you say, equation 4. Now look at here 1 2 3, from 1 2 3 and here 4, you take a 1 2 3, and from 4 look at sigma m r square is nothing but a z, sigma m x square is nothing but a Iy, sigma m y square is nothing but Ix. Is it proved or not? It is nothing but a perpendicular axis theorem. Perpendicular axis theorem. Perpendicular axis theorem is nothing but a sum of the moment of inertia about any one axis. Sum of the moment of inertia about any one axis is equal to sum of the moment of inertia of remaining two axes. That's what you take a one plane lamina. The plane lamina mass is capital M, and in this lamina you take a one point at any point, not center, at any point. Therefore about that point you draw a 3 lines. The 3 lines are mutually perpendicular, that must be perpendicular. One you say x axis, one you say y, and other one is z. About x axis moment of inertia is Ix, about a y axis moment of inertia Iy, about a z axis moment of inertia Iz. And this lamina is consists of n number of particles. Therefore each particle of mass is m. So in the given a lamina, the particle of mass m located from x axis is at a distance is y, and from y-axis at a distance is x because it is parallel, no, and from z-axis it is at a distance is r. Therefore, about individual axis you write a moment of inertia. See, for x-axis moment of inertia Ix is equal to sigma m y square. For y-axis as sigma Iy is equal to sigma m x square. It is a perpendicular distance, mass into distance square. And about a z-axis Iz is equal to sigma m r square. Like in a triangle OPQ you take and you apply a Pythagoras rule, then after multiply with sigma m r square, both side you multiply with sigma m r square. After multiplying, now you take 1, 2, 3, from 1, 2, 3, 4, Iz is equal to Iy square plus Ix square. It is the theorem of perpendicular axis. So there are two theorems, one we can say parallel axis and one more we can say perpendicular axis theorem. So which are to be like this. And here, if you go through these two statements as well as the two formulas, if you remember this, then it is help you in the next upcoming theorems or upcoming we have some applications on the basis of parallel axis and as well as the perpendicular axis theorem. See, here we have some cases or we have some applications. Sir, what are applications are there? See, you remember moment of inertia, I told you very clear. Moment of inertia purely depend on mass, distribution of particles and about an axis of rotation. Not only axis of rotation, it is also depend on shape and size. Shape and size of the bodies. That's what moment of inertia. For different bodies, different moment of inertia are there. That we have to prove it. See, there are some proofs are there. Suppose if I take one regular body, any one regular bodies. See, we have the regular bodies like uniform thin rod. You take one rod. About this rod, moment of inertia we have to find, and it is depend on mass and shape and also axis of rotation. That means here the axis of rotation, it is passing through from where? Based on the axis of rotation, moment of inertia purely depend because it is only axis of rotation. Suppose the axis which is passing through one end, the moment of inertia is it is different. Suppose the axis of rotation is passing through the center, yes, it is different. Like it is for uniform thin rod, and you take a ring and you take a disc, you take a solid sphere, hollow sphere, like a solid cylinder, hollow cylinder, rectangular plane lamina, like a square, like a triangle of a lamina. Like this we have different shapes of a body, different moment of inertia we have to find. That's what moment of inertia depend on mass, shape, size and axis of rotation. Also depends on temperature, but it is independent on angular velocity, angular acceleration as well as the time period, because it is independent. It is only depend on shape, size and etc. Like this we have the applications. Now we have to prove one by one. One by one we have to take. That we can say first one uniform, because we have different bodies. No, you take a first one uniform thin rod. For that uniform thin rod, here I will tell you one proof, only one proof. Remain all I will give you directly moment of inertia. And not I forgot to tell you one thing, one more also. We have to do the radius of gyration also. Not only moment of inertia, we have to find the radius of gyration also for each and every given regular bodies. Right? These are applications are there. That applications, and in that all applications I will tell you one or two derivations, because in that derivations we have integration methods. It is not required integration method, that is what I will tell you. One derivation, one only integration method I will tell you, remaining all I will tell you final answers, because it is not required, right. So this is about a theorems, and that is about a regular bodies moment of inertia that we have to find. So that we will see in the next class, that regular bodies or irregular bodies moment of inertia we will do the next class. Thank you very much. We will see in the next class.